Hey everybody, welcome to the game plan. My name is Lorenzo and I'm going to be reacting to a video that I got from someone in the comments. I'm not sure if they wanted me to react to it, but I appreciate that they, took the time to comment on one of my videos. And this individual, shout out to Nello Cambelli. He asked, is this a crime to be addressed now? And then he attached a link. So I clicked the link to find out what was going on his comment. And I guess it's about massive fraudulent enrollments in California community colleges. What's happening? This video came out a day ago. So I don't know if this is new news or if this is something that's been going on. It is a 45-minute video. I won't be reacting to the entire thing, but just enough to get a gist of what is going on within this specific subject. So let's take a look to see what's going on and check it out.
$2 million fake applicants applied last year to community colleges in California. And right now, there are a number of fake students out there in our community college system, to the point where kids cannot take their classes because these fake students are taking their spots. Our guests today are Marvin Martinez and Jeannie Kim, who are community college leaders. They're here to tell us what they found in their campus and how these fake students are impacting students in California and community colleges.
What's made this situation of fraudulent enrollment so different than anything that I've seen before in my 36 years in higher ed is that it's happened on a massive scale. It's happened in almost 80% now of the campuses. That means 90 colleges at least have these issues and these situations.
I'm Sima Karami. Welcome to California Insider.
I mean, you have so many leftists in California. They're the ones approving these enrollments and allowing this to happen within California. I'm not really surprised, to be honest.
We want to talk to you about the phenomena that's happening in California right now. About 1.2 million fake students applied last year to community colleges. This is almost 30% of new students that are applying. Mm-hmm. What's happening?
Having fraudulent enrollments it's nothing new. It's been going on for a long time. What made it catapulted and what was the springboard to a lot more was really when COVID happened. So when COVID happened, community colleges, not just our district, but many other districts throughout the whole state, I would say about 80% of our courses were face-to-face, just like we are right now. And maybe 10, 20% were online. And in some campuses it was 10% or less. That was before COVID. After COVID, we began to experiment with Zoom. So the number in many ways shifted, where 80% of our courses were now online as opposed to being face-to-face, and 20% or less were face-to-face. So the world, in many ways, in education changed completely over a span of 3 to 4 years. So what that change created is that if you have students who are online, they could take the class from anywhere from where they live. We have students who are taking our classes throughout the whole state, Eureka, Fresno, Sacramento, as well as this local area. We have students taking our classes from other states. And because of the quick change, no one was really prepared for these fraudulent actors to just triple in size. Because if you look at the numbers prior to COVID, it was basically zero. We didn't really have...
Because you would see the students face-to-face,
yep.
Right, before you...
Exactly. It was the old school, right? Old way where you come to the class and you ask, are you present? And you raise your hand and yes, I'm here. That was the way that it basically was done. But that changed. So we no longer do that in that manner really at all.
At Santiago Canyon, we saw the shift in the fall 2024 enrollments. So we knew that there were fraudulent actors that were in the system. And as the Chancellor mentioned, it has been around for a long period of time. So by fall of 2024, we'd already endured it for over 4 years, right? And in fall, what we started to notice is that we had great enrollment growth. More students had come in, so our increase in headcount was up. Our FTS, our accounting for how we account for the students in the classrooms, all of our enrollments were up. And we were excited. We were celebrating, right? Everybody was absolutely thrilled. We were up 10, 12, 13%. And as those numbers went up, we became even more elated. Then the first week of classes come in, and the faculty members get into those classes, and they see that these are not real students. They have questions. They're wondering, why are they not behaving the way that a student is supposed to behave in terms of these online classes, right? And so they discovered that a lot of these students were just fake. They had said that they were students, they'd enrolled in the class, et cetera, down the line. Some didn't actually show up. Others of them did show up, but they didn't necessarily complete work in the first week of class. And so we started to, the faculty members started to filter out these students. So where we were at a high of 10 to 12%, 13%, we went in the opposite direction because our faculty had this reaction to all of these fraudulent actors that were there and saying, these aren't real students, I need to kick them out, because that was their responsibility at that point because the classes had started. So they started dropping all of these students, right? We thought were students, but they were fraudulent actors. There were some real students that were caught in that mix, which was part of the reason why we had to put in other measures. It was hard for the faculty members to really determine who was real and who wasn't real, right? They're just going based on their gut instincts and whether or not they were turning in enrollments, et cetera, or homework, et cetera. So 2 weeks go by and our census is completed. And by that point, we're in the opposite direction by negative 10%. So we
So you
lost
lost
enrollment.
20%.
We basically lost 20 to 23% of the enrollment within a 2-week time frame. So everything that was up went down in the opposite direction. And that equated to somewhere between 10 to 12,000 enrollments. And there was a smaller head count that's associated with that, because what we found are the bad actors were in multiple classes. So each enrollment could have been, 5 enrollments per one bad actor. So They were just filling up space. And the problem with this was that they were taking up space that students needed, real students needed, in order to graduate, to be able to complete their degree, to complete their certificate. And that's what really called us to action, right?
Am I missing something? So bad actors that decided to enroll in a community college to take up space in certain classes, this would help prevent real students and actually taking those courses to get their education. Okay, what would be the incentive or the benefit for bad actors to do this? I'm trying to think. Am I missing something here? If you guys understand it so far, can you leave it in the comments below? But maybe there's more. I mean, this is a pretty long video. I'm not going to be reacting to the entire thing. This is actually pretty crazy to hear, but I mean, it's not too crazy because this is coming from California, and you guys know how I feel about California because I was living there, and what I feel about how the leadership there has destroyed that state. And you know what? This might fall under Gavin Newsom as well. Department of Education. Who's to blame? Department of Education, the city officials, or the dean, president of these college campuses?
And so our team went into action and said, they started investigating, and sure enough, we figured out who was fraudulent, who was real. But at that point, we were very limited in our resources. So then we went out to look for an AI resource that happened to fall into our lap. Literally, I was at a conference, heard the speaker because they were deploying it at 2 of the colleges up north, and they were about to start a 3rd and a 4th college, and we signed on. I literally walked up to the CEO and said, I need your product. This is how much money I have. Shake on it, and I need you here next week. And that's how it happened.
The old-fashioned way. At the end of the day, it's about shaking someone's hand and getting that going.
How did your teachers find out that these students are fake?
they weren't behaving like actual students. They weren't behaving like real students. So there was similar kinds of assignments being turned in. There was no response, or it seemed like a fake response. So our faculty are experienced faculty. They've been teaching for long periods of time, whether they're adjunct or full-time. And they know that when the student behavior patterns, right? Because this is their craft. And they were noticing that there was an aberration in that behavior pattern of engagement or interaction, or complete non-engagement whatsoever. So the student was there, but they weren't responding to anything. They weren't turning in the homework, etc. And if they didn't turn in the homework within those first 2 weeks, then they were dropped. Because why would they be there and not complete homework, and why are they taking up space that they shouldn't be in the first place? So our faculty really went into action and cleaned their rosters to a point where it impacted our enrollment with a 23% decrease, right? And so, the faculty then came back to us and said, we need help. And where we heard the additional cry was from our counseling faculty, because in those first 2 weeks, what's happening is that students are looking for classes to enter into. And our counseling faculty couldn't find classes for our students to actually enroll in, because they were all being taken up by these bots. And our students who were going through it by themselves also couldn't find classes. And so they were coming in trying to schedule more counseling sessions to figure out if they can get a class. And the counselor was like, I don't have anything for you because this class is completely full. They make a phone call over to our director of A&R, or dean of A&R, and is this really true? Is this class really full? They start an investigation process, and they find out, you know what? No, these are bots. You can actually enroll that student, but they can't enroll because the technology component doesn't let you over-enroll that class, right?
Now, we all know COVID really did a huge impact on this country in so many different aspects, and it really changed the world, honestly. The typical person doesn't really think like, okay, we're in a time of crisis that our so-called government and governments around the world are saying, COVID is spreading across the world and people are dying. It's putting a lot of fear in everybody, and once you put a lot of fear into people tend to forget that crime is still happening underneath the table, behind the curtain, whatever you want to call it. There are still people out there trying to commit crimes, taking advantage of fear in a nationwide pandemic like COVID. This kind of makes me wonder if California is not the only state that's was dealing with this or is dealing with this. I wonder if there's other states in the country that are also dealing with this. If any of you out there that are students and have encountered something like this, or know something in your state that has found out some fraudulent enrollments, leave it in the comments below. I'd really like to hear about it. This is something that we need to share with people, because we need to ensure that people in this country are having the opportunities to get an education that they're seeking. You can have the point of view of, oh, you don't need to go to college to be successful in this country. For some people it is, for some people it's not. It's okay. We have the freedom here to choose to go to college if we want to better fulfill our knowledge on whatever we're seeking to pursue. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. Till next time, peace out, everybody.